Okay, so I said that was only going to be one video where I talked about that, but I fucking lied to you. Yes, I lied because it got more interesting. After doing the first video, I continued playing more because this is a fun scenario as to what has arrived, and my oh my, have things gotten crazier. As you can see, I managed to successfully push the French completely out of China. And I also managed to take over Japan. It was interesting how that occurred because it wasn't actually me pushing into Hokkaido. It was the Americans landing on the beaches of Hokkaido and dislodging the Japanese from the rear. This allowed me to basically move up and take advantage of the situation and conquer the island of Hokkaido. Now, the war, technically, with the fascists has completely ended. All the fascist powers have been eliminated at this point. Now, Japan has been replaced with the state of Japan, which is a democratic nation. Yes, it is. It pretty much only has control of Taiwan, some islands in the Pacific, and some additional islands off the coast of Japan, the Kuril Islands, to be more specific. Now, something else interesting happened. I was courting Tibet with my communist influence, and once again, it decided to join the Allies because I guess I was just a douche-canoosh. So what I decided to do was completely fucking wreck their day. And that's exactly what I did. I was going to completely remain peaceful with Tibet and cause them no harm. But they decided that war with me was a great idea. Now, amazingly enough, Tibet was industrializing, my friends. So, taking over Tibet came with 11 military factories and 4 civilian factories, further giving us more factories, despite the fact we've already got 391. That's right. And surprisingly enough, the Tibetan army was actually pretty big. It was like 40 divisions. I just didn't expect that out of Tibet, you know, just didn't see it coming. Needless to say, Tibet was defeated. They didn't really have any resources, and you know it wasn't much of a fight. Honestly, it didn't last. It didn't last a week. It lasted days, and I completely annihilated them with troops. I basically took a couple of our troops off the border here, and also some of the troops that are occupying India, and just completely steamrolled them. They didn't have the type of weaponry we've got, I guess. Now, some other interesting stuff has happened. I've got nukes now, as you can see. And the British refuse to be dislodged from Hong Kong. Now, keep in mind, throughout this whole playthrough, Hong Kong has switched hands at least 10 times between the two of us. Like, I've taken it, they've taken it back, I've taken it again, they've taken it back. The other place that has switched hands more times than I can count is Hainan here. Yeah, this has been a bitch to hold. But thankfully, now I think for sure we've got it. As you can see, I've upgraded the airbase to 2,000. That's what I did a long time ago when I first started fighting in the Indochina region. But anyway, so back to Hong Kong. So I got nukes, and I decided to nuke Hong Kong. Because why not? Let's just see what would have happened. Nothing really happened, as you would imagine. Nukes in Hearts of Iron 4, if you've never seen them before, are not that great. They don't really do much except for affect national unity. I mean, they don't even take out enemy troops in a particular region. If you ask me, how it should be is nukes should devastate the infrastructure in a region. It should at least cause major attrition damage to the units that are in that area. Even if they didn't get directly hit by the nuke, then they should be taking 50% attrition damage because of the fallout. Hong Kong should be uninhabitable at this particular point in time, but it's not, or it's just fine, as if nothing was dropped on it at all. Like I said, nukes in this game only affect national unity. So basically the point of using them is not as a military weapon, but as a fear-mongering weapon to cause national unity to go down until basically you decrease their unity so that it's easier for them to surrender. Something else major that happened is because the war against the fascists ended, a bunch of brand new countries have popped up out of the Allies' territory that they pretty much, they conquered. We even have the Iraqi People's State being formed out of the end of the war. These guys are on our side though, so they're on our side. We're good with them. We're good. But the Allies have created the German Republic, the Republic in Italy. They've created the Socialist Republic of Bulgaria, for some reason. And who else? The Turkish Socialist Republic, again, for whatever particular reason, they're creating communist states. I guess really the Allies are, oh, you know what? It's because Britain is the leader of the faction, and that's probably who made all those. That's hilarious. So I guess that worked out to some degree in our favor. And as you can see here, Poland, thankfully Poland is not against us, but is a communist state. Poland is actually formed up with Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania to form kind of like honestly, a giant fucking shield. And I'm so happy they're a giant fucking shield. I love them. Poland, honestly, probably a big reason the Soviet Union hasn't been defeated yet is because of Poland. And it's non-aggression, it's not getting involved, and basically just proving to be a great buffer state between the Allies and the Soviet Union. As you can see also, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but the Soviet Union has broken the deadlock. I mean, they got really far. They got all the way to Budapest. They had pushed all the way to Budapest and past Belgrade. They had conquered like this whole area up until about Istanbul, and then as the tide on the beach, it ebbed and flowed, and they've been pushed back by another wave of Allied troops. It's actually really interesting to watch just how the ecosystem of this game works, and like how these great major wars turn out. It's as technologies begin to normalize, and you kind of even down the numbers significantly, it turns into these just like these it looks like trench warfare. Like it's like we take a province, we lose a province, take another province, you lose another one. So like no major ground has really been made. I mean, it's like you guys can see that it pretty much looks about the same as the last video. The only major change is truly over here in Asia, whereas you can see I've been completely pushed back. And that's partially because I just said, fuck it, I can't hold this ground. The Allies were pushing in hard, and they were pushing in fast. They've landed at least 20 naval invasions up the coastlines of India. They landed 3. Basically, the main reason I pulled back in the first place is because they landed one here at like the Calcutta area, and they pushed into the east. And then they landed one here at the bottom of Vietnam. Or, I can't remember, is that Vietnam? Yeah, this is Vietnam right here, but what is this? Just, okay, basically Indochina. They pretty much just dropped troops there at Indochina while also pushing up through here. So it was a 3-pronged Allied assault coming in, and I had about 110 divisions, and I was not going to repeat the mistake that I made down here. So I decided to completely pull back, establish a brand new line of defense, and they actually managed to push all the way up and take just about all of this, but we have pushed them all back. And it's a very slow fought battle, but we are slowly winning it. It should also be mentioned that production is out of this world. I'm literally... One of the things when I did the last video, I was majorly struggling with supplies. We had lost so many men, so much equipment, so many tanks, and attrition was horrible. So, and a major effect of that was the rebellions going on in India from it not being garrisoned. I didn't want to garrison it at the time because I needed every last troop I could get my grubby little hands on. But now that we have a garrison, now that everything's running, up and running as it should be, we're seeing that our divisions are recovering in a major way. So pretty much we're able to take the fight back to the Allies, and at the very least we're able to hold the territory without taking extreme casualties, because before our divisions just weren't fully supplied. They're still not fully supplied, but at least they're not operating at about 45%, because that's roughly where it was before. The only divisions that are practically untouched are the ones in Japan, and that's because they literally have not seen fighting in a decade. Like, no one's fought, aside from these 6 divisions up here, No one has fought in Japan in a decade. Whereas if you go and you look at like the army under Mao Zedong, and you look at just about everyone's trained to some degree, and see, like, I don't even have any veterans anymore. That's how many casualties have been inflicted upon my army. We don't have elites. Look, they're like, it's training, it's recruit, it's green. These are all, I don't know. It's actually really cool to kind of sit and look at that. Just like if you don't equip your troops with like field hospitals and things like that, the major effect on experience that will come from you're basically just taking so many casualties. Also, if you thought we had lost a lot of men before, oh my goodness gracious, you poor soul, you don't even know. The battle has raged on, and the British-Iranian war has just claimed millions more lives since last I showed this, since last I was, talking about this video. The Soviets, where I think before were at about 12 million and I was at 9 million, are now up to almost 17 million casualties. The People's Republic of China, being me, are at 12.25 million. The Union of Britain hasn't taken major casualties in this time, but they are up to 4.6 million almost. The British Raj is about the same, as you can imagine. They've been dead this whole time. Romania is 918. The United States is 6.9 million. The Philippines is at 322,000. The Netherlands 1.6, roughly 1.7 million. France is 5.35 million. France has been the major contender. Truly, France has made a huge comeback. Like, as you can see, the United States, they're almost out. They are almost out of divisions, and like you got to think, the United States, when this war started, had over 1,200 divisions and is now down between 38 and 154. And France has really kind of carried the war, from since then. They came back, they made a major comeback and just started throwing hundreds of divisions into the fray. At one point, probably about 6 months ago in the game, the French had around 400 divisions. You have to think, only a year and 9 months has passed since that last video, to give you just an idea of how absolutely destructive this war is. This is crazy. I've never played anything with these types of casualties. These casualties are insane. This war, just watching it play, is insane. So it's really interesting. If we go down the list further, we can see just more and more and more. Brazil has been decimated. Mexico has been decimated. Mexico, when it got into the fight, had roughly 80 divisions. Brazil had probably about 120, I think, 120 to 130. I can't remember exactly. But both have been absolutely demolished in terms of the fighting. And if we continue to scroll down, we see more and more that just zero divisions, zero divisions, zero divisions. And even then, a lot of the divisions, if they even have, a lot of these countries, even if they have divisions, they probably have given their divisions to be commanded by the British and the United States or France. So, like, honestly, that's probably where these countries are getting most of their firepower at this point. They've decimated their populations. Like, I don't know how many men they could keep throwing out like this. Like, yeah, see, look at that. They're on all adults served. 20% and total mobilization. That means they don't, and like, London doesn't even have any recruitable population anymore. It's completely out of troops. That's wild. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how many soldiers have died. Like, I can't even imagine looking at the Soviet Union. Like, their population centers must just be drained. But no, look at that. They still have more. Like, we can go and look. They're clearly on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of how many troops they have left in, like, their areas. And you can see it right there in the recruitable population. But they are getting there. They are running out. Now, see, if we continue fighting the war, we're going to win. We literally still have 24.24 million soldiers in reserve, ready to go, ready to fight. As long as we can just hold our supply lines, hold our factories, and continue to pump out resources and material, we're going to win this war. If we look, let's go take a look at the United States. How's the United States doing? Oh my goodness gracious! See, the United States needs to change their mobilization laws, like their conscription laws, because if they don't, they're basically out. They have no more troops to really recruit or bring out to fight in their war. They've exhausted most of them. Now they probably still have maybe 1 million or 2 people who could fight, but I don't even know. It doesn't even look like they do. Yeah, they do for sure. They have at least 1 million just by looking at Texas. Yeah, so they still have at least 1 million, but that's just it. They have at least 1 million to fight. Unless they change their conscription laws, they're going to run out of troops who can fight. And just think about that concept for a second. That is an insane, an absolutely insane concept to assume that a war has been allowed to drag on so long, so incredibly long, that you have run out of able-bodied men to fight it. That is ridiculous. When you have literally gotten to the brink, and you're for example, if you get that conscription, and see, we're just at extensive conscription, baby. I'm not even doing scraping the barrel. Like, if we were scraping the barrel, I would have like 200 million soldiers ready to fight. So, just throwing that out there. Look, this is where England's at right now. All adults serve. This is where England and the Soviet Union are. Where about France? What's France's laws? All adults serve. Yeah, all 3 of them are to that point. Now, see, if Germany starts building some troops, which they most certainly can, because look, they've actually their population did not suffer as bad as you would think, because they've been out of the fight for a decade. So they pretty much are ready to go. So if they start building troops, that could be terrifying to see, like a reborn German war machine pushing back against us, this time fighting for the Allies against us. That is a really, really scary concept. But anyway, so I thought I would just share this with you to kind of update this to show you guys, because like I said, this is becoming an incredibly interesting game. I think the end date is very, very soon, so I'm really, really sad, because I don't want it to end. This is getting too good, man. It's too good. But it might certainly end here soon. But anyway, this has been CB. Thanks for listening to me ramble and talking. I did not even fucking realize the Soviet Union had pushed so far into Africa. I didn't even see that. What the fuck is this? What are you doing, Russia? You're like leaving your supply lines unguarded. Jesus Christ. Anyway, this has been CB. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, please share. This is just, I think this is an interesting little scenario. It's like a little after action report. I imagine people could enjoy just taking a look at this and listening in on what's going on. But anyway, this has been CB. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.